Hello everybody, how's tonight going for everyone? I know I have just a lot of work to do tonight and just some models, so lots of fun to get into hopefully, and hopefully not make any messes tonight. But, you know, what's the fun if we don't make a mess, right? If I can find my... There we go. So, we are just going to be working on some models. If you guys got printer questions, we'll take those today, and just kind of going to be working on just all kinds of general stuff. So hope you guys enjoy tonight's stream, and we're just going to have to try to have a laid back fun time tonight is kind of the hope. So working on some prints that need a little loving. So I'm not sure if it's a flaw in the model, but this little Darth Vader pencil cup developed some holes, and I'm thinking it's something at the model because the exact same holes formed. Two different printers, two different slices. So, but they're an easy fix. The way I'm going to go, they're not horribly huge, so I'm just going to use the Avaiable plastic putty, fill them in, and then kind of smooth them down a little bit, paint them. Because, I mean, who doesn't love a stocky little Darth Vader? It can be used as a paintbrush cup or pen cups, or you might even be able to fill it full of dirt and put a little succulent growing out of his head. Who knows? You can always kind of have fun with these little things, but basically I'm just sealing some holes on them. Trying to make them look right. And the Avaiable putty is real nice because I can easily get up in there and squeeze into the hole, especially up in there where I can't get a 3D printing pen, and just kind of get this worked out. First question of the night: can I use model paints on PLA? Yes, Andrew. Yes, you can. The only recommendation that I do recommend is that you prime it first with any type of primer. I like using the Vallejo and the Army Painter primer, but if you put a good layer of primer on the top, any paints will stick, enamels or model enamels or acrylic. I do mostly acrylic, but yeah, they paint really well. And actually, this guy, he was oops, I've got filler on my fingers. He was transparent when I started, and now we've made him into just some black primer, and it goes really well on it. So, and he'll have to have a touch up because I filled in the holes on the side of them. But basically right now I'm kind of in a shop mode. I'm trying to just clean up spools of PLA. I just knocked down something. I got to put it back up here. I'm trying to clean up filament spools. So I had a ton of like half used and spools that are just sitting, and you don't want to leave spools sit for a terribly long time. They're going to gain moisture, they're going to get or they're going to dry out, and that's going to make the spool brittle and cause you all kinds of problems. Where like a eSun's filament heater is really nice for getting the tautness back into the filament so you can print with it. And actually this one spool had to go through the heater for about 4 hours before I could safely print with it again. So not worry about having a break. Black primer is one of my favorite primers, just for the undercoating. Black can really kind of help out with shadows and stuff like that. So it's definitely, black is a great priming color in my opinion. And what I plan to do with him after I've touched up where I got the filler. I'm going to come back with the dark silver, make his eyes kind of stand out, put some color on his belt, and make it look pretty good. I know I'm holding these way too far down. So we are actually going to... Camera's way zoomed in. That's better. There we go. So, lots going on. Those guys, that filler will probably dry overnight, and then I can easily come in here with a little bit of a sanding nub and kind of make that all smooth, get the last of the detail back, and really show these off. So, kind of just a fun, simple project. Great way to organize your tools, and this prints in about 12 hours. So a nice little simple print that works out really well. So a lot of fun, but just like any model coming off the printer, just need a little loving. So that's not the only one I gotta do. Give some loving tonight, because this is a new Groot, and for some reason he flawed on the face right there, and I don't know why. The other two prints that I've done have been fine. It's just this one print, and then there's a known hole issue right there on the arm that we're going to take care of. Yeah, that's because I'm trying to finish up spools. So I've got a lot of spools that just need to be used. So I'm just trying to finish them off and clear up some shelf space, but I'm also trying just to not buy any PLA right now. Prices are kind of taking a bit of a hike. PLA is kind of hard to come by right now, at least in the stores that I usually visit, except for Amazon. Prices have shot up. Inland's like $10 more a spool than it used to be. So trying out some different stuff. This is 10C here. This was filament from Salutec. So Andrew, your paints, is it an enamel paint or is it an acrylic paint? Because that's gonna define my answer to thin them down. If it's an acrylic paint, you can use things like mineral spirits or paint thinner to actually thin those down. But acrylic paint, you will probably just need some distilled water, is honestly all you'll need, because a lot of acrylic based paints are water based. So that, and make sure it's distilled water, not tap water. Tap water will, depending on where you live, say if you're getting city water and stuff like that, or if you've got a well, city water is usually heavily chlorinated, and other chemicals are added to keep the water clean in the pipes and stuff like that. Those chemicals can actually react with your paint and make the paint do bizarre things. But if you use distilled water, which is what's in here, it mixes really well. This has been half distilled, half Vallejo acrylic, and I've got a ball bearing in the bottle here, but it mixes back really well, thins out really well, because this is one I use for my airbrush. Got to paint those starships somehow, and the base gray is always a good one. But those are kind of the ones I would start with for those two types. You can always try using the airbrush flow improver to kind of thin them back down, but I mean, with those two styles, water is going to be your best for acrylic. But when you get up to the enamel paints, those get a little bit more difficult, and if it's an oil-based paint, that one's really hard. You can try to thin it with paint thinner to see if you can get it to liven back up, but there's no guarantee that that's going to work. And you notice, guys, I've pulled out the 3D printing pen. This gap is just too large to try to do with filler. So I'm actually going to fill this using 3D printing material. And again, the 3D printing pen is a wonderful investment, even if you're just doing. And I'm going to talk to this a little bit. Oh. Even if you're doing just like model kits like these, you know, the standard model kit, the 3D printing pen can be a huge investment even for those, because it can basically, you know, use it for seams. And my favorite one is the Constitution Class Refit Enterprise A model kit. It came out in like 1994. That the warp nacelles are not strong enough. This is great to go in and give reinforcement to make those nacelles stand up. So basically, I'm going to do a two-phase thing here. I'm going to build an undermesh, which I know you really can't see it. I'm going to try to build an undermesh in this gap. That way I can come across with filler and smooth it out. So basically I'm just building a lower layer in here to try to make it to where the filler that I'm going to put in it, so that I can easily sand it, smooths out really well. And this can take a little bit of PLA. It depends on how it adheres in. It can take a lot of PLA. So there's a lot that you can do here, but the underlayer is a great way to seal this back in and kind of fill in the hole. And just like that, we've filled the gap. It's low enough that I can put the filler across it and smooth it. So that hole now is just a dent. And the filler will definitely take care of it really quickly. And I'm going to fill this little hole in his arm real quick. Because that's just a quick, easy fix. So I'm done with the pen for this one. So enamel, I would start with mineral spirits or paint thinner, and very little amounts. So very little. Add just a little bit. Stir. Add a little bit more. Stir again, and see if that will get the paint to break up. The other thing you can do with those enamels is, this is one of my favorite tools. I hope I can get them out. Is in the bottle, in the jar, after you've added some of the paint thinner, little ball bearings. You can honestly go outside, and if you can find little pebbles, even make sure they're very well cleaned off, and put them in the bottle with it, and then shake it really good. So that way when you shake it, it's in there knocking stuff around. It's not just you're moving the fluids back and forth. The ball bearing's actually working in there. A marble is fine, something that's good and hard and clean. If you put it in there with a little bit of paint thinner, knock it around, shake it really hard for a good minute or two, then add a little bit more until you get back to the consistency you're looking for. That'll definitely help you out, Andrew. So, now I'm not going to put the 3D printing pen away, because we got a model to put together here after a while. That was requested last week during the stream. But I'll do some filler across there, thin that out. I'm going to do a little bit of sanding of his chin. And then we'll, for the majority of this, I'm going to, like up here, I'm actually going to clear varnish. And then I'm going to come in with a brown down here to bring this back out. Because I'm just going to come across with a green up here. So I don't want to waste too much primer. So, but all in all, this was a quick 3-day print on my CR10. He's a wonderful flower pot. Can you tell what I'm getting ready to do? So actually, I'm going to go ahead and fill it. I've got a handy putty knife up here. This is really up here for another project, but we're going to go ahead and fill this one in. And for that, I'm actually going to use the Tamiya, because it comes out a larger hole, where I like the Vallejo because I have the narrow point. So yeah, it can be great for doing small stuff on prints, or dioramas. So the 3D printing pen is a really great investment at about $50. $50 to $80 is usually about what they cost. They're not the cheapest investment, but they are a good investment. For whether it's the 3D printing hobby, it's the model making hobby, really for any hobby, the 3D printing pen comes out to be a really great tool. Especially if you don't have $300 or $400 to spend on buying a full-size 3D printer. So alright, we'll let that sit, and I will take a file and sand that out later. Make sure I clean my blade really well, I use this blade on a ton of stuff. Awesome. So, what could have been a disastrous, horrible thing for Groot has now become, I am Groot. He is ready for a good primer with a little bit of sanding. And since I have to sand the chin there and I'll have to sand that smooth, I'm just going to wait and do that all at the same time, probably tomorrow afternoon, after this has a good amount of time to set. So, we're going to put Groot to the side. All right. So, last week's stream, the vote was for a original series shuttlecraft. Well, we have an original series shuttlecraft that came out really well first try. A few places I want to clean up, which I'm going to grab snips and do a couple spots right now and start working on some of the assembly. So the poll from went out last week, Star Trek was leading the pack for a while, but out of everybody, Star Wars finally pulled ahead. So for everybody in the stream and watching this for the next 6 or 7 days that this video is out, if you hear this, you get to vote on a possible Star Wars ship for me to print. So, after the video, I want you guys to leave comments of what Star Wars ship you guys would like to see printed. Now keep in mind, I've already done a Venator, I've done an Acclimator, we've done the Super Star Destroyer and the standard ISD, so we've done the Millennium Falcon. So kind of keep it out of the box if you can. I'm kind of looking for a decently awesome idea. And we've already done the Razor Crest, so meh. And the new fighter and Slave 1, because we were painting Slave 1 last weekend. But I need to pull up a picture of the Galileo, because I am not sure if it went that way or if it goes this way. So I need to double check. Oh, Galileo. All right. And it goes that way. Okay. Got what we need. So the first step will be gluing these in place and getting them to stay. And actually, we're not going to glue it, we're going to 3D pen it. That's why I love the 3D printing pen. It works great as a welder, coupled with the glue. So hopefully, Andrew, you got your question answered. We try to aim to please here. And that was a really good question, especially, even you guys have seen the abundance of paint on my table. I even open them up and find paints, unfortunately, that have dried up on me. So hopefully those help you guys out with your with getting your paints to be lively and useful again, because no one likes a spoiled bottle of paint, especially when the bottle of paint's $4 or $5. That just kind of, that's pooey. So, and if we get down to it tonight, we may do something that's against some rules. So we will see. That pen is heating up because it likes to go to sleep real quick, because who wants a 200-degree nozzle sitting on your desk? Unsupervised. I don't. So, but if we get time to it, I may break out Babylon. I have another Babylon 5 to put together. We may break that out and get started on that. Two-a-days. Hopefully things have been going good for you. I know you've gotten a few glimpses of some projects that are further along. Perk of your Patreon membership. Almost there. 172. I have not done a Hammerhead Cruiser. So we will... And if I remember right, the Hammerhead was, that's the one they used in Rogue One to make the Star Destroyer spin out of control and smash into the other Star Destroyer. Is that right? Waiting for the PLA to start flowing. It's got to pull it in here. There it goes. All right, there's the first rail. I can't quite make out what the emoji is, but that's also because I'm being lame and not wearing my glasses tonight, because glasses, bleh. I'll probably put them on when I start going to the painting bit here, though. Uh-oh. No. The pen is trying to get away. Alright, so as soon as that dries, or, well, I should say, as soon as it cools down, we can start adding work nacelles. But all in all, this has been a pretty simple little model. Oh, the Imperial Shuttles? Oh, the Imperial Shuttle does sound like a lot of fun. Now, are you talking like Return of the Jedi, we stole the shuttle, or are we talking Episode 3 Imperial Shuttle? We look like an Imperial shuttle. We look more like the ship from or the Episode 3 shuttle that looks a lot like the ones that the Bad Batch was running around in. Now, guys, one of my favorite tools is the Citadel Deburring Mold Line Remover tool. It's great for going across parts and just getting back to smooth edges. And what's great about it is it won't cut your hand. So it is a very good tool to have in your arsenal to clean up prints with. Whether it's a model, a 3D print. I had a guy go on my Instagram and say this was a useless tool, and I don't understand. It's one of the best tools in my arsenal. Because I don't want to cut my hands. And it seems like every time I pick up an X-Acto knife, I cut my hands. So, where this tool just does really good for cleaning up the burr lines. Because that burr line's there from where it was sitting on the supports. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that gets on the bottom. So it's sitting there. Yeah, it's a handy tool. The price is a little high. You can probably find one that's not made by Citadel. Citadel is always going to be high because it's, you know, Warhammer. Yeah, the Stormtrooper one. I definitely will look around for that model. That one sounds actually like a lot of fun. So we will we'll look for that one. That's a really good idea. I like the idea. So that one definitely is going to hit the list, and see how big of one I can make actually. That's the fun of what we like to do on here. How big can we go? And how audacious can we go? And who says we have to make it an Imperial, right? We could easily make one that's post-Empire. Someone got it off the salvage pile and made it their own. Kind of like the Bad Batch has theirs that they're running around in. I'm just using super glue for this basic part. I'm just gluing on the two tips of the parts here. Looks like there's going to be some gaps, so that'll be the Vallejo filler. If I do it, the wings will fold up and down. That's just going to be a thing. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to make one that's just got the wings down flying around. It's got to fold. That's just me. If I'm going to make it, I'm going to make it cool. Alright, so there's one to sell. That super glue just needs to dry for a minute. So hopefully my Necron Tesseract back here doesn't mind holding on to a Federation nacelle for a minute. Yeah, a lot of them are already pre-built that way. Some of the models I've found, they've already got it through there. A lot of times I won't use a plastic rod. I'll go to the hardware store and buy a wooden dowel rod to use. They tend to work better. They're easy to cut. They got a little bit of strength because I usually buy the oak ones, which are just strong, good lumber. Although anymore, the way lumber prices are, just buying a splinters will break you. I mean, gas prices are dropping, but it's just not enough. Why everybody's got to pay for one person's stupidity, you never know why, but that's the world we live in today. I'm just kind of smoothing it out. There's a little bit of the raft sitting on here. I don't want it to... want to minimize the gap as much as I can. So far I've only heard the Hammerhead Corvette. grab that first nacelle. It should be fairly dry. Basically what we're going to do is get this guy on the shuttle. So all in all, really cheap, good, simple print. I'm going to clean that up soon, but we're going to get the pin warmed back up. I'm going to use the deburring tool, kind of smooth the surface out here for the nacelle to sit on. Make sure it's good and somewhat even. I'll go ahead and do the other side too since I'm here. Being very gentle. I don't want to inadvertently break it. All in all, this is coming out really, really nice. I will do some smoothing here on the top to kind of get rid of those layer climbs there that happened. But this should go on relatively simple without burning my hands. I hope. It's one thing you guys I kind of wish there was a battery version where I'm not stuck on a power cord all the time, but also I know how hot these pins have to get, so batteries probably would not last long. Even with a rechargeable, you'd probably only get 10 or 15 minutes of work with it, and that would just be not enough to really achieve our task here. So and looking at my image, the nacelle is more like that, pushed forward. So we're going to try to mimic that as soon as we hit 180. This took about a day to print. It really wasn't that bad of a model for this size. I threw it on a CR10, but I probably should have just used a Inter 3 for the scale that I got out of it. Alright. Start it extruding. Try to get it down in here. This may not work, so this may be a bit of a lost cause, but I'm going to try at least to get a bead to hold it on there. So we got a bead. I can slide it into place. Alright, so that little bead does really, really well to grabbing it on there. It's still pliable enough, I can move it, and then I'm just going to cheat, take some super glue, and go down the seam line here. It'll require a little bit of sanding later, but that's a-okay. Nothing wrong with some sanding. And there's the first of the two warp nacelles. One nacelle left to go. So the Nebulon B frigate, I have attempted it twice and given up both times. That is a very unique design. Whether you look at the variant with the double front, or you're looking at the ship with the standard older Return of the Jedi variant. The double front was seen in the what was the Skywalker movie? The second of the last three of the trilogy. I can't remember what the name of it was, but that one had a split front. It had a V instead of the downward V. So The Nebulon B, what I'm going to have to do, I think, for that one to actually work as a large model is make sure that's that bar that goes across it is hollow, so I can actually put something really strong in there to create the support. I think that's going to be where I have to go if I give that one a try, but that one's definitely tryable. So oh, I gotta move a box. Yeah. Gotta move some stuff around here. So while we're waiting on that, I've been doing some work in Resin Land. Now, I don't know if I have a lot of Warhammer fans on here, but the Death Corp of Krieg is one of my favorites. And with this kit, which is the only kit that's not Forge World that you can get Death Corp of Krieg, is really the Octeros kit, which you guys can see I have. But what I've learned about the Octeros kit is there are a lot of extra bits because you have a lot of variations of how you can put these soldiers together, which will make about 8 to 10 more soldiers than what you can actually make in here. And I was out and about, and you probably can't really see any of the detail on this because one, it's black. So I made the center of the figure because there's a ton of arms, so I can have some additional Death Corp of Krieg troopers. Now, granted, I won't be able to use them in real play. I won't be able to proxy them, but they came out really spectacular for their size and everything. So those are something that I'm going to be working on probably later. Probably not tonight, but keep your eyes open for them. So that is now dry enough. I can get the second nacelle on here. So of course, got to go through the usual problem. Luckily that didn't get, oh no, that completely cooled off. So what's everybody else been up to? Model building, prints, what you guys all working on? Just kind of out of curiosity. I'm going to clean that up while we wait for it to warm up. Just curious what everybody's kind of working on. Andrew's obviously wanting to get his paint game on, which is awesome. That little shuttlecraft's coming out really well. It lined more than what I would like, but that's actually, I'm going to use the it's Rust-Oleum's primer filler. It'll fill a lot of this in for me. I won't have to do a ton of painting. But all in all, it's a really nice little model. And I've got another one. You can see it here laying off to the side. I got to finish peeling out of its support. That's always fun. I'm being totally hatefully sarcastic there. That camera is not focusing at all, is it? That does not make me happy. Let's try... Oh look, turn off autofocus, everything's fine. Alright, so bit of a better focus. You guys can see that model is coming out really well. Once the pin heats up, we'll do another bead back here to get the second nacelle on. Then another bead of super glue, and we will be set on our Galileo shuttlecraft. A little bit of sanding and smoothing, kind of cleaning up along where the glue line there is, and we'll be ready for paint. Can't beat that. Ah, yeah, that's right. 2 days you were showing me you were working on your Spirit of Fire. I don't know, 2 days. Should we show them the ring? Or should I leave that? Sorry guys, I gotta watch so I don't burn my own finger here. Trying something a little different. See how fast I can work here with just doing a bead of hot 3D filament there. All right, there we go. Galileo Shuttlecraft. Well, I keep calling it the Galileo. It's the TS Original Series Shuttlecraft, but they were named most of the times on the original series. It was named the Galileo. So we'll set that guy over there to the side. If you guys are curious what we've been talking about, it's this. So this is going to be a segment of a halo ring, and for the fun of it, I don't know how the camera's going to react to this. It is backlit. And one of the upcoming projects will be filling in all the terrain in here. I'm still working on finding some stylized buildings and stuff like that to sit in there to make it actually look like Halo. So if you guys want to see more sneak peeks and stuff like that, go over and join the Patreon. Get some of the special features, get your name at the end of the videos, which 2 a day, I owe you that, I know. We're going to work on that because I'm finally running out of the batch that I had. So kind of cool things like that. Impromptu streams, if you're having printer problems, will tend to help you out a little bit more. So kind of one of those things, kind of a cool perk of joining the Patreon monthly to kind of help you guys out. So that is the large ring segment. There is actually a full Halo ring that is on the other side of the room that is still a work in progress. It needs a base so I can finish up its construction. So I haven't fully decided if I'm actually going to buy a lamp piece and put out the top of that and actually turn that into a tabletop lamp with the blue and all that, and then you see all the terrain. I think it's going to look pretty cool if I do. And that way the terrain is all lit up by the lamp. But I haven't thought about it yet. Still looking at some of the input on that. But man, we are cranking through stuff that I had planned for tonight. I honestly didn't think we would get this assembled, so I'm kind of stoked by that. It was a lot easier assembly than I thought it would be. So I guess I'll move on to my TARDIS. So, how many of you guys in here play D&D or dice games that have a lot of dice in them, stuff like that? Whether it be normal board games or anything of that type. We've almost got the website up 2 days. It's almost there. The main page is up. That's about all I've got going right now. I haven't gotten anything into the store yet or anything like that, so I'm still working on that. That bit, it's just a bit time. I may be an IT guy, but I'm not a networking type guy. I finally got... Oh wait, that's where the dice is. Okay. That's why you're not popping out, I think. Yep, that is. So one of the things I've been really interested in lately is dice towers. And with that, my slight fun obsession with Doctor Who is kind of come into the game here. So I printed an awesome little model out there I found. This Doctor Who dice tower. Well, those shuttles didn't have downward ramps. That was later on in TOS and the Star Trek TOS movies and TNG. I don't remember those having their door popping open, but not a downward ramp like the movie shuttles had. If you guys are curious, what I'm doing is this goes all the way into the structure. I'm trying to break it free so I can easily get it out of the model. This is kind of the hard part, because if it didn't do infill, it wouldn't have printed. And if it didn't print, I would have been sad. So I did look into the request for one of the bridges, and I don't know if I'm gonna be successful in that one. I don't know if I'm gonna have the patience for that one, is my problem. Guys, I'm not worried about the colors getting messed up. And actually, you notice it's two different colors. One filament spool ran out and I had to switch to another one mid-print. And you can definitely see a color difference between Inland Red and Inland True Red. If I'm going to buy again, it's going to be the True Red, because that looks closer to Iron Man and a few other stuff. So that's kind of my personal preference here. So anybody got anything going on fun with models or anything like that? Whoops. I just killed Lilith. Oh, let's get this party started in here and get this guy opened up. Sorry for the sound, guys. And I can see the back. We're making progress. And you can see here in the top, it has the connector where this will connect on here and have the downward flow. So definitely a lot of fun, but a lot of work too in getting these supports off. And I will admit, I probably over supported it. I really should be wearing my glasses, just in case some support comes flying up in my face. But we're almost there. These MC 180 snips, they're out there on my video descriptions. These things are just boss because they've got the nice flat edge that you need. There's no groove. Works really well for heavy duty model stuff like this. Works really well at cleaning stuff up and getting through over printed supports. All right, there we go. And there is our base. Nice, good, opened up, ready for the dice to come flying down. 50% done. Now we've got to finish getting all this support off the big piece. And again, I will go to my handy dandy putty knife, because I've gotten through the first layer here, so it makes it real easy for me to pry and pop off the other layers. And you can see the detail on this model, that it even included the door handle. You got the where the phone is, and the doors, the lights, all comes out really well. And actually you can cut into this, and it's hollow in the center. You could put a little light up here to make Doctor Who's TARDIS light tower. So definitely a bit of fun to be had with this model. Get down in there. Aha! Love it when stuff comes off nicely. And one of the cool things about this, guys, is you don't have to throw this away. This can be easily used for other for dioramas and stuff like this. That would be a great barricade wall. But hey, I'm just saying. There's a lot of good stuff to be had in here. So a little bit of cleanup along the top, nothing too crazy. There we go. And now we have a pretty much ready to glue together. If you get the two pieces in the correct place, you've got a, for the most part, ready to go TARDIS. Ready for a dice to be dropped down at. 2-a-day used to scare the crap out of me too. But I've done it enough that old hat. I've gotten very good at judging. It's all experience and basically skill, patience, and you'll figure out the tolerances of your models pretty quickly, and your materials. So that all comes with experience. Have I broken models? You bet your behind I have. Have I regretted breaking models? Oh yes. Oh yes. But you know what? If you break something, great tool to fix it with. A lot of times super glue will fix it. I mean, you saw Lilith fall over and she's just standard photopolymer, eSun photopolymer resin, which I want to reach out. eSun, thank you guys again. This is the standard photopolymer gray that this is printed out of. Love the material. I put it in my my VoxLab Proxima, my Creality LRD002, even my Halet 1. It works really well in, and you get really sharp detail out of your prints with it. So if you guys are looking for a good photopolymer resin, give eSun a shot. They are top notch in what they do with their resins. So keep that in mind. And I appreciate them because they do help out our channel by sending us materials to print with, and to try, and all those goodies. So definitely a great sponsor to have around. Gotta get all the little pieces out of there, so that will sit down really well. There's a little bit of gap on it, but I'm not going to worry about a gap. And did I lose my dice? Oh no! I usually have a 20-sided dice sitting on the desk. And I am either blind. Oh, I'm just blind. So, like I said, the fun of a dice tower. works like a charm. So the next part will be super gluing, filling it, and get this guy out to paint because I'm not going to leave it red. It doesn't take a whole lot of super glue to do this, just enough around it. Super glue is my favorite, one of my favorite glues next to the 3D printing pin, but I will use like the Testors modeling glue, even the Tamiya glue, to fit models together. They're all great in their own way. It just kind of depends on what I'm working on. And this is not an instance where I would use sprue glue, so we will set that guy aside and let the TARDIS dry. Wow, we're cutting through projects like crazy. So, who's ready for a painting tip? Other than the one I gave out at the beginning of the stream with the questions on enamel on that. So, who out there hates printing gold? Paint into butt color to paint, right? And get it to look good. Gold is always kind of a burden color to get it to look right. And I met a gentleman, his name is Joe Hudson. If you go out there and look him up, he is a very good, I mean just top-notch miniature painter. This is what this guy does. And I went to a class of his and told me I was doing it all wrong, which I was. And the hint to painting gold is your underlayer. And specifically, I'm going to bring this guy up. It's not really zooming in. I'm going to try something scary. We'll bring it in on him. So it's not focusing. Sorry guys, it's my camera. I don't know what it's doing tonight, but you can see that gold on him looks fantastic. And that is because underneath the gold, I went with a brownish underlayer. And that brown is letting the gold keep its color and pop out. Now I'm using I'm specifically kind of going with a darker gold. So this is Retributor armor from Citadel. It's a really good base color, and this is just on, I just primed these guys brown. I just used a brown primer and it came out, you guys can see that gold is just popping with the gold color. So if you're looking to do golds and stuff like that, go with a brownish undercolor and you will get beautiful golds underneath. Actually, this one's a little bit bigger, one that I'm working on. These are Stormcast, part of the Stormcast Eternals army, and that gold just pops on top of that brown. I'm really happy with how it's coming out. These are still a long way from being finished. They're still a massive work in progress, but that's kind of my painting tip of the day. If you're going with a brown, or even kind of going with, if you want a bright silver, do a white underlayer. And by white, I mean go with kind of a off-white base layer underneath your silver to give the silver the metallic shine. Now, I'll be honest, I like putting brown. I've done this on a couple models that aren't at my desk. I've put brown under silver, and it looked really good too. So basically, like this whole army, I'm just kind of cheating and using a brown primer and doing that completely, because most of these guys' armor is gold. With the blues, which you guys can see, even the blue over the brown came out beautifully, and that is the Citadel's Caldor Sky is the blue that I'm using on this armor, and it's coming out great. The wings are still very much a work in progress. That's just kind of their first layer of white. I want to pull the brown into them, and I'll probably put a wash in there to really help define the feathers. But I'm not anywhere near going for a wash. I still have a lot of brick work to do. I still have silver work to do within his armor, and of course his face. And then coming back with the leather straps and everything, is there's still a lot to do here. And I've got some red to come in and do for his ribbons. Because like same with this archer, the gold has come out really, really nice, and then the red and the blue of his cape and his, well, basically skirt has come out really well. I've still got to come in and do a lot of the silvers, lighten up the wood in the bow, bring out this silver steelish look on the bow, and kind of come across his bags and bring out the stonework that he's stepping on. So still a lot of work to do, but these Stormcast Eternals are coming along really nicely. Kind of working on a big batch of them. Kind of one of those things, you guys can tell within Warhammer and my painting, I tend to bounce around when I'm painting, and I still have a lot of work to do on the Necron Tesseract. That's where this guy is. He's in the central core. You can see I've started coming in with the Citadel's Moot Green on top of the silver, and then what I'll do is I'll come back with Citadel's Technical to kind of give a translucent glow into this green, and do some kind of lightened green in here to really make that stand out. I want to put some red into him along with the Necron Silver as I go through the Tesseract pieces here. And last week we worked on a section of the Tesseract. I have a lot still to do in that Tesseract to get it going, because basically it's amazing what one color can do to kind of help out the look of a model. Just coming back with Lead Belcher steel from Citadel has made these parts pop out. I got to come in with the Moot Green and get these reactors, and then probably Runelord Brass and a couple others to pull out some more color dynamics in here. And I still have all the work to do in all four of these, of all the little nanites in here. So it's definitely kind of a pain to go. Yeah, in a way, in some ways it is that way too-a-days. Now with gold, the brown just gives it more of a sheen. It makes it pop out against. You can do white, but you're going to see a lot of that brightness of the white coming out underneath. Where coming in with the brown, I didn't want these guys bright gold. I wanted them to look metallic, kind of goldish. And that's what I'm getting with the brown on this one. It just gives it a very good gold hue. And especially when I come back with a wash on top of this, it's going to really kind of pull, it's going to kind of dinge it, but also give the seam lines their better color. So definitely one of the things I'm working on. Again, this is just base layering. I have not gone to an actual layering of giving the lifelike appearance to it. This is just the base colors, and then I will start coming in with darker and lighter colors to make him look more lifelike. So it's kind of one of those things. There's definitely some change still to go, a lot of painting to go into him right now. Like I've got to bring out the silver in his blades and all that stuff. So a lot of work still to do, but they're coming along. You know, it's just like with the Necron that I was pointing out here. I'll pull him back out here if I can. Where he goes into the Tesseract, can kind of hold on to him. You can see where the Moot Green is going over darker points. Especially on the back, that green gets real dingy-ish over this darker section than the brighter section. So it definitely does give a look, because this back section is more black than it is the silver that is the front. Because this is just Citadel Lead Belcher sprayed onto him, and then I'm coming back and I'm doing each one of these by hand. I probably could do it really quickly with an airbrush, but for some reason I'm just getting a lot of satisfaction doing it by hand. Actually, I am going to try to pull this over here without breaking it, so you guys can actually see it. So this is most of the Tesseract. There's still 2 sections that go on each side, but they won't hang on. Because I need to come back and, like, this guy's tentacles I want to take into brass and kind of give it some more color for the inside. So there's, with my Necron army, there's a lot of brass, some red. There's a lot of colors involved. But basically, once this is done, there's going to be just a little bit of red in here, a lot of the green, and yeah, that's exactly right, 2 days. The white is just going to wash out the gold color. It's going to make it look like a flat silverish gold, where I want the gold color of it all. So that's why the brown works really well with basically getting this gold to really kind of show as a gold color. Wish I just had a piece of gold around here I could show you, but I don't even wear a gold ring. Everything of mine's silver. And I'll keep you guys apprised on these as I keep working on them. And if you're really curious about seeing stuff like these, make sure you go check out my Instagram, because these pop up every once in a while of just my painting exploits. Whether I'm doing good or I'm doing horrible, it's kind of just one of those things. They pop up on there. I am going to give the 5-minute warning that I'm probably going to end the stream here soon. So, anybody have any questions or anything they'd like to throw out there? Or I'm actually kind of tempted to start putting some of the green on these. Really need to go in here with the brass, but the brass just won't show. It's so small. I'm going to have to use my... I have a video microscope that I can set this under, and the microscope will put it up on a screen for me, and then I can paint looking at the TV screen. So I don't have to sit there with my... Now granted, don't get me wrong, I love these. With their interchangeable lenses for magnification, the light on it and all that stuff is great. But for as small as this is in here, the magnifying glass is just, the magnifying display is just going to be better for me long term. But let's get some green on there. Well, we got a few minutes, a little bit more time, and you guys have a chance to ask some questions and stuff. So, get my handy dandy paint holder here that you guys can see I had a spill a couple days ago and made a nice, wonderful, whopping mess. Hooray to that. Where's my paintbrush? There it is. I've been hooked on this paintbrush for a little while, so keep using it. These green reactors actually probably shouldn't take me too long to do, and will really make these start to kind of pop. I'm not being too horribly clean with this, because I know I'm going to have to come back with brass in that upper layer, and that will I can do a lot of touch up with that brass. And that's just the Rune Lord brass from Citadel. This is Citadel Moot Green. But for the start of the base color of these reactors, this will probably be the first coat that I do. I'll probably come back with a second coat, and then I'll come back with that technical to really give it a good glow, because I'm painting directly onto black. So that's, I'm going right on. I'm trying to put something very bright on a dark, and I'll have to come back and probably give it another really thin layer. There's nothing wrong with thin layers, guys. Multiple coats of paint can sometimes be very beneficial over just a glob of paint. So I don't hesitate about layers. It can be annoying on really massive projects, but it can also be a lightsaber because I just said lightsaber, not lifesaver, because it can let you brighten and darken colors without having to pour paint into a wet palette and go through it. I really like how Citadel lays down. I like the way Armory Painter lays down as well. It goes down really well and smooth. It can thicken really fast though, so you got to be kind of careful. I call the Citadel my paintbrush cleaner because I have to wash my brush quite a bit as I'm laying this stuff down. Because it does tend to dry really fast. So it can stiffen up the brush really quick, which can be kind of annoying. Especially when you're trying to go in really sharp on these. It can be a bit of a headache. But I will come back and do a second layer of this moot green to brighten it before I do the brass. That way when I do the brass, I can clean up some of these edges that I'm messing up. And there we go. I'll have two of these pieces mostly done. I need to come in and do the eye, but this brush is just a bit too thick for that. So I will I'll come in with a thinner brush and get the eyeballs on the droids here and all that stuff. But those heads I'm going to make brass as well, so I think I'm going to wait and do the brass first. So what I tend to do with a model is I try to pick like 5 colors. And that's the ranges I try to stick into. You can go crazy with your color schemes on a model. For base, like these Citadel, those Stormcast Eternals you saw. Now, of course, I'm not talking about faces or anything like that involved. I'm just talking about the majority of the model. I have 5 colors involved there. I've got the white, the Retributor Gold, well, 6 really. The brown primer, and the red and the blue, and then a Dawn Stone for the stairs that you guys saw painted on the one with the wings. So I try to stay within a tight color scheme. Then I'll use whites and blacks to brighten and darken for the majority of the model. Then when there's like a face and something like that, I'll come back to that with probably a different color scheme. Whether it's tan skin, dark skin, it just kind of depends on which one we're trying to do. But you can see that green is kind of making them really kind of start to pop out. There's a lot of runes on here. And what I'll do for those is I will probably use the toothpick method to fill those in. Probably with some of this green. There's some like vents up here. That I'll do in the green, and then I'm going to come back with the Runelord brass and make that fitting into a brass. So lots still to do on this model. That's kind of the bad thing about big models, is they can just take you forever, and you always keep finding new stuff to work on with them, or you find that you missed a spot, or it can get a bit tedious with these guys sometimes, but it's all just kind of one of those things. You got to just sometimes put your head down and grin and bear it. And you guys can see that's already hardening on the tip of my brush. So clean my brush, get that out of there. I'm going to reform my tip, and then I'm going to get back in here and get some more of this green laid down. At least on the front of it. Now, like I said, it probably would be faster for me just to airbrush this, but I kind of weigh the mixing, cleaning, getting the airbrush set and ready to go versus the actual, I'm just going to sit here and hammer out the painting. The time sometimes comes to an equal, and depending on how you paint, how you look at your strokes, you take short overlapping strokes and stuff like that, your paint can go down just as well as if you airbrushed it. It's all in technique. And again, this is going down darker because I'm putting it over a silver. If this had been a white, this green would be really popping. But I wanted the main figure in the lead belcher in this silver, so it just kind of one of those things. It's a matter of patience. And I had one person suggest just dip it, and I don't think that I don't want to pay that much for the Citadel paint to fill something up enough to dip it, because one of these Citadel paints, buy a miniature marker, these are about $4 for the little pot that you see here. Buy it online at, like, say Games Workshop, you're going to pay $5 or $6 a pop. So Miniature Market is a great store to check out if you haven't. If you love board games and stuff, I go there quite a bit. They have board game nights here at the 2 stores in St. Louis. Really cool store. Definitely check out their website, guys. I'll drop a link in the description. So, but that green, once it's around it, once I give him his red eyes and all that, this is gonna look really nice and look really cool. And actually, I kind of like some of the areas where I can see I didn't get full coverage. I kind of like how the silver is mixed into the green and popping out. Because if I remember correctly, this is supposed to be energy. The Necron's energy that's out and around him in the Tesseract. So, the Tesseract Arc is, I believe, the name of this model. And I'm taking my time with it. I'm going into a lot of detail with it because it is, one, it is a very expensive model. 2, it's not even, I don't even know if it's in the current rules to be usable, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't take a lot of time and make this look good. So I'm gonna probably finish up on this side over here, and then we will probably call it a night, guys. I don't know about you guys. It's Tuesday. I have more work in the morning. We all have our day jobs. So if you guys did enjoy the stream tonight, make sure you hit that like button. Again, in the comments, let me know what Star Wars ship you would like to see, because right now Star Wars is leading the comment poll. So that's what we're going to do. Last week Star Trek was winning, and we printed the Galileo, so, which we just put together on stream not too long ago. And kind of one of those things. It's definitely a printer's market, because I will look for, I try to look for ships to have printed for the next stream, but there are plenty to work on, because I've still got the Saratoga from Space Above and Beyond sitting over here needing lots of love. But just kind of one of those things. You guys can see he's coming together. The green fire in there is laying down really well. So with that, I think it's definitely going to be time to close the stream down, guys. I do appreciate everybody that's come out. Leave your ship ideas in the comments for them to get attributed, and then we'll put a poll out, and see which one I will be printing. So I thank you guys for joining. It's always fun having you guys here. The conversation, all that stuff is great. I do greatly appreciate it. And we will see you guys in the stream next week, and we'll catch you on a video on Friday. All right, guys, have a good night, and we will see you all later.